Shalom, shalom. Last week's Torah portion was Parashat Vayera, where Hashem appeared to Avram Avinu on the third day of his circumcision, simply to visit his sick friend. But Avram was not only in pain from the breast, he was probably distracted, feeling down, feeling a little bit depressed, making it difficult to connect, right? So although the Shekhinah had shown up to bless him, the way Avram Avinu could draw close to the divine presence was through his avodah, what I call his superpower, which was hospitality. Therefore, he was sitting in the doorway of his tent in the heat of the day, as well as the heat of the circumcision, hoping and watching for possible guests whom he could invite to come and have a meal, have some rest, a little, refreshment, before they continued on with their journey. So seeing this yearning, HaKadosh Baruch Hu took pity on him and sent him 3 messengers whom he recognized as men. Our sages say that they were dressed like Arabs, but they were in actuality 3 melechim, angels, 3 angels in disguise. One angel was to bring the announcement of Isaac's birth, and the other 2 were there, I believe, simply to witness and experience true hospitality, so that when they headed to Sodom, which was the most inhospitable and wicked place on the earth at that time, they had that rubric to be able to judge what was going on in Sodom and be able to execute righteous judgment against that place and the sister cities of the Jordanian plains. So in this week's Torah portion, Parashat Chayei, Sarah died suddenly, and according to our sages, her death was connected to the Akedah, the binding of Isaac in last week's Parasha. Our Parasha begins thus: Vayiyu Chayei Sarah me'ah shana ve'esrim shana ve'shava shanim shenei Chayei Sarah. The life of Sarah, 100 years, 20 years, and 7 years, the life of Sarah. So her name was mentioned at the beginning, near the beginning of the Pasuk, and near the end of this Pasuk. All right? And that tells me that from beginning to end, in Hashem's eyes, she was always Sarah. But why did the Torah break up the years of her life into these 3 segments? 100 years, 20 years, and 7 years? According to Rashi, when she was 100 years old, she was as sinless as when she was 20 years old. And when she was 20 years old, she was as beautiful as when she was 7 years old. Rashi also comments on the phrase that ends the Pasuk, Chayei Sarah, the Shanei Chayei Sarah, the years of Sarah's life. He said the word for years was without number, didn't have a number attached to it. And that is to tell us that it was because all the years of Sarah's life were all equally good. Sarah also has 3 names, Yiska, Sarai, and Sarah, each of which represented the goodness and purposefulness of her life, in my humble opinion. And in the 2nd verse, we are told that Avram eulogized her and wept over her. All the letters in the word for eulogize are the same standard size. However, the word for weeping has a peculiarity. The 2nd radical is diminished. That word is velivkota. Velivkota. And the root of that word is baka. In the middle of that is the letter kaf. And that kaf is diminished, meaning that it's smaller than all the other letters. And why is that? Comparatively, so kaf is often used as a prefix in order to make comparisons. So comparatively speaking, Avram's eulogizing of Sarah was far greater than his weeping for her. Avram mourned for his wife a little and not excessively, and his eulogy of her was greater than his expression of grief, for she was the original Eshet Chayil. Our sages caution us against excessive grieving or sadness or sorrow, because those things repel the divine presence. They repel the Ruach HaKodesh, while joy attracts Ruach HaKodesh. So going back to Parashat Vayera, Avram could not connect with Hashem because of his pain and depression and distraction. But when the opportunity to serve fell on his doorstep, so to speak, his joy, his intention, his kavanah lifted him, eventually eliciting speech from Hashem, as well as the transmission of prophecy. The lesson we can learn from this is that we can only connect with Hashem when we are joyfully, intentionally engaging in doing what brings us joy. Shabbat Shalom.